It was exactly 1 year after that crumpled lottery ticket changed my life. I sat in a sleek office overlooking the city skyline, my brand now a recognized name across the country and Europe. Annual revenue had officially hit 7 figures. Millions. Millions. I still couldn't quite believe it. Jason walked in, smiling, carrying a glass of champagne. "To the craziest year of your life," he said, raising his glass. I clinked it with mine, thinking back. The sleepless nights, the chaos, the supplier disasters, the viral posts, the influencers, the international setbacks, every step had tested me, pushed me to the edge, and forced me to grow faster than I ever imagined. "I still can't believe it all started with a lottery ticket." I laughed. Jason nodded. "Luck gives you a chance. You decide what to do with it. And you? You didn't just take a chance. You built an empire." I leaned back in my chair, taking a deep breath. It wasn't just about the money. It was about resilience, courage, and seeing possibility in chaos. From a desperate, broke guy in a parking lot to a 7-figure business owner, my life had completely flipped. And the craziest part? This was just the beginning. Because once you learn to take a random chance, to embrace uncertainty, the world suddenly feels limitless. And I knew I would never look at a chance the same way again. The end. By the 8th month, the business had exploded beyond anything I could have imagined. We were shipping thousands of products weekly, our brand had a loyal following, and even mainstream media started featuring us. But with growth came intense pressure. Every decision now had consequences. Every delay, every mistake, every dissatisfied customer could hurt our reputation. One evening, I sat alone in the office, staring at the live sales dashboard. Numbers kept climbing, hundreds of orders pouring in per hour. My heart raced. Jason walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Look at that," he said, nodding at the screen. "You did this." I shook my head, overwhelmed. "I couldn't have done it without you, without that lottery ticket, without taking the risk." He smiled. "Luck gave you the spark. You built the fire. And now? Millions are within reach." Suddenly my phone buzzed. Another influencer had featured our product. Another wave of orders. Another chance to prove ourselves. I realized then that this wasn't just about money. It was about transformation, about taking a random chance and turning it into a life I had never dared to dream of. Sitting there, watching the numbers rise, I finally understood, life doesn't just give you opportunities, you have to recognize them, chase them, and survive the chaos that comes with them. Tomorrow, we would go even bigger. International markets, new products, new partnerships. The journey wasn't over, it was just reaching a new level. And for the first time, I felt truly unstoppable. Going international sounded like a dream. But in reality, it was a nightmare waiting to happen. We launched our first overseas shipment to Europe. Everything seemed perfect, until customs held half our packages, claiming documentation errors. Some clients waited weeks, and negative reviews began popping up again. On top of that, a European competitor started copying our designs. They had more experience, local connections, and aggressive marketing. Orders slowed. Stress skyrocketed. I sat at my desk at 2 a.m., staring at the map full of pins marking customer locations, wondering if we had bitten off more than we could chew. "Jason, maybe we went too fast. Maybe we should focus on the US first," I said. Jason shook his head, a grin on his face. "Speed kills fear. If you hesitate, someone else will take your spot. We adapt or die. Pick your move." I took a deep breath. We brainstormed, redesigned some cases for European tastes, personally contacted key clients, and hired a local logistics consultant. It was exhausting, chaotic, and terrifying, but slowly, orders picked up again. Then came the moment that changed everything. A major European influencer posted our product story, highlighting our dedication to quality and customer service. Orders exploded overnight, more than we'd ever seen in a single day. I leaned back in my chair, disbelief written all over my face. From a crumpled lottery ticket in a parking lot to a brand reaching across continents. Is this really happening? Jason leaned over and whispered. And you thought your life couldn't get any crazier? The first national shipment was a disaster. Our new distributor had promised fast delivery, but the boxes arrived late, some damaged, and a few were even sent to the wrong cities. Social media blew up again. Customers complained. Influencers who had promoted us started posting negative reviews. My phone never stopped buzzing. I sank into a chair, staring at the floor, feeling like all our progress was slipping away. Jason, we're failing. This could ruin us, I muttered. Jason shook his head. Failure is part of growth. You can panic, or you can fix it. Let's figure out how. We immediately called the distributor, demanded replacements, and personally shipped priority orders ourselves. We filmed behind-the-scenes stories showing customers we were handling the crisis ourselves. People loved it. Then something unexpected happened. One of the influencers who had complained initially posted a follow-up. They really stepped up. Fast response, replacement shipped immediately. They care. Respect. That single post went viral. Our failure turned into proof of reliability and integrity. Orders surged again, even higher than before. I realized something crucial. Luck gave me the chance, but persistence, creativity, and handling chaos turned that chance into something lasting. And just as I thought we could finally breathe, Jason leaned in, smiling. Next, we go international. By the 4th month, our little shop was no longer just a small online store. We had gained national attention. Retailers, influencers, and media outlets started reaching out, wanting to feature our products. Jason scheduled a meeting with a major investor. My heart was racing as we walked into a sleek office building downtown. The lobby was shiny, intimidating, and full of people who seemed to speak a language I barely understood. Remember, Jason whispered. Confidence, clarity, and a clear vision. They invest in the person as much as the product. The investor, a sharp woman with piercing eyes, scanned our presentation. I could feel her evaluating every detail, every word, every hesitation. Your growth is impressive, she said finally. But scaling nationally isn't easy. How will you manage logistics, branding, and customer service at this level? Jason smiled, then looked at me. We're ready. We've faced chaos, and we've thrived. With the right support, we can handle national demand. She paused, then extended her hand. I'm in. Let's make this happen. Suddenly, what had started as a crumpled lottery ticket in a parking lot, a random chance I had almost ignored, was now turning into a nationwide business. Millions of potential customers were just a few deals away. Walking out of that meeting, I felt a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. The stakes had never been higher. One wrong move could undo everything, but the possibility of massive success was intoxicating. And deep down, I knew life was about to get even more unpredictable. By the 2nd month, the business was booming, but with growth came chaos. Orders were multiplying faster than we could handle, and cracks in the system began to show. One morning, I woke up to a flood of emails. Order never arrived. Why is my package missing? Your website charged me twice. At first I panicked. Then I realized our back-end system wasn't ready for this scale. And to make things worse, a competitor had launched a smear campaign online, claiming our cases were cheaply made. Social media was buzzing with negative comments. I called Jason, desperate. We can't keep up. Everything is falling apart. What do we do? We adapt. We fight. We fix it, he said calmly. This is exactly what separates a small shop from a real company. Trust me. We pulled a 24-hour work session. I personally reached out to every upset customer, apologized, and offered refunds or replacements. Jason worked with the team to optimize logistics and upgrade the website. By the end of the day, we had solved most issues. But the real surprise came later. One of the angry customers posted a follow-up review. I was skeptical at first, but the owner personally helped me and sent a replacement. Amazing service! The post went viral. Suddenly, our small shop became a story of trust and resilience. New orders poured in, not just from casual buyers, but from influencers and small retailers noticing the brand's integrity. I realized then that success wasn't just about luck. It was about how you handled chaos, pressure, and unexpected attacks. And deep down, I knew this was only the warm-up. Bigger opportunities, and bigger crises, were waiting just around the corner. The first week after saying yes was pure chaos. Jason brought in a small team of designers, marketers, and logistics experts. They arrived at my tiny apartment, transforming it into a war room. Whiteboards covered with sticky notes, laptops everywhere, coffee cups stacking up like skyscrapers. I barely recognized my own space. "We need to triple production by next week," Jason said, pointing at a chart. "Social media campaigns start tomorrow. Ads go live in 3 days. If we miss this window, we lose momentum." I blinked. Triple production? Ads? Momentum? My brain felt like it was being fried, but somewhere deep down, I felt alive. This was bigger than I ever imagined. By day 3, we hit our first snag. A supplier sent the wrong materials, delaying half the products. Panic spread through the team. My hands shook as I coordinated calls, reordered supplies, and tried to calm everyone. Then the unexpected happened. A small influencer stumbled upon our page, filmed an unboxing, and posted it on Instagram. Overnight, traffic skyrocketed. Orders poured in faster than we could process them. My phone didn't stop buzzing. I barely ate or slept. At 2 a.m., Jason looked at me across the table, exhaustion etched on his face. "This is good chaos," he said, grinning. "You're doing fine. It's supposed to feel impossible." I laughed, though my throat was raw from shouting confirmations and packing boxes. Impossible. That word kept flashing in my mind. And yet, somehow, we were surviving it. Thriving, even. By the end of the week, we had fulfilled hundreds of orders, gained thousands of followers, and proven that a random chance, a crumpled lottery ticket, had sparked something huge. But I knew this was just the beginning. Bigger challenges were waiting. And none of them would be small. That night I didn't sleep. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my brain spinning like a roulette wheel. On one hand, what if Jason's too good to be true? What if he's setting me up? What if I'm signing away my freedom? On the other, this is it. This is the break people pray for. You don't get a second shot like this. At 3 a.m., I got out of bed and started scribbling on a notepad. Pros and cons, numbers, random thoughts. My handwriting was so messy it looked like a doctor's prescription. By sunrise, one thing was clear: staying where I was meant slow death. Bills piling up, hustling endlessly, one mistake away from collapse. Jason's offer? Risky as hell, but it was a lifeline. The next afternoon, we met again. Jason slid a folder across the table. Inside, a simple draft agreement. My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages. "You don't have to sign today," he said calmly. "Take your time. But every day you wait, someone else is moving faster." Opportunities don't wait. I looked up at him. My throat was dry. "And if I say yes, what happens first?" Jason's grin widened. "We launch. Website upgrade, branding, bulk production. I'll front the capital, and we go all in. But I need your word that you're ready to bleed for this. Because once we start, there's no turning back." Something in his voice wasn't just business. It was a challenge. I stared at the folder, my reflection faintly visible on the glossy cover. My entire life, every failure, every rejection, every sleepless night led to this. With a deep breath, I slid the folder back to him and said, "I'm in." Jason extended his hand again, but this time it felt different. It wasn't just a handshake, it was a pact. As our hands locked, I felt a surge of adrenaline. Terrifying. Thrilling. Life-changing. I had no idea then just how insane things were about to get. I kept staring at that message on my phone. My brain wouldn't shut up. What if this guy's a scammer? What if he just wants to buy me out for pennies? What if I'm being stupid even answering? But curiosity won. The next morning I replied, "Good morning. What exactly do you mean?" The response came almost instantly. "You don't have a business. You have the start of a brand. I can help you turn it into something real. If you're interested, let's meet at the cafe on Main Street." I showed up early. The cafe was small but cozy, with warm wooden tables and the rich smell of roasted beans hanging in the air. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through my phone, pretending I wasn't nervous. Then he walked in. Tall. Sharp suit. Confident stride. But his smile wasn't fake or stiff, it was genuine. He reached out his hand. "Jason. Investor. But before we talk money, tell me, why did you even start this?" My heart was pounding. This felt surreal. "Honestly? I just wanted to create something of my own. At first, I made it for friends, but then more people started asking. I don't have much money or resources, but I'd got the drive." Jason nodded slowly. "Drive is everything. Money's the easy part. Now listen, I don't just bring cash. I bring a team, connections, access to markets you've never touched. You've got a product, I've got the map. Together? We can blow this up." I froze for a second. My brain was screaming. Yesterday you were packing orders on your kitchen floor. Today, some investor in a tailored suit is offering to build an empire with you. Is this even real? The only thing I managed to say was, "And what do you get out of this?" He looked me straight in the eye. "A piece of the business. But trust me, better to own 50% of something big than 100% of something small." That line hit me like a truck. Right then I realized this was a train that wouldn't stop twice. I either jumped on now or watched it disappear forever. That night when the viral post happened, I didn't even realize what was going on. I was sitting in my small apartment, folding cardboard boxes, when my phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, I thought it was some glitch. But when I opened my shop's dashboard, I nearly dropped the phone. 300 new orders, in the last hour? I whispered to myself, my heart pounding. The source? Some influencer on TikTok had randomly bought one of my phone cases, filmed a short video unboxing it, and said, "I found this little store with the cutest handmade cases ever. This isn't sponsored, I just love it." Within minutes, thousands of her followers clicked the link. And suddenly, I wasn't just running a tiny shop anymore. I was in the middle of a storm. The excitement quickly turned into panic. My kitchen floor was buried under piles of packaging. I didn't have enough stock. I didn't even have enough tape to seal all the boxes. At 2 a.m., I rushed to a 24-hour convenience store, buying every roll of tape they had. The cashier looked at me like I was insane. But the craziest part wasn't the chaos. It was the realization that this wasn't a one-time fluke. People started tagging me, sharing photos of their cases, and even writing me messages. "Finally, someone making designs that feel unique. Please tell me you restock. I need this style." For the first time in my life, strangers believed in me. And then, something even stranger happened. One of the messages came from a well-dressed man with a business profile picture. His text was short, but it made my pulse race. "I think your brand has real potential. Let's talk." I didn't know it yet, but that single DM was going to change everything. That first $15 order lit a fire inside me. I threw myself into the business, designing new cases every night, answering customer messages, and packing orders on my tiny kitchen table. Every ding of a new sale felt like winning the lottery all over again. Within 2 months, my small shop was pulling in more money than my regular job. It wasn't much, maybe a few $100s a week, but for me, it felt massive. But then the problem started. A supplier messed up a shipment, sending me defective cases that customers returned in anger. One angry buyer even left a scathing review, and for a moment, I thought my entire shop would collapse. To make it worse, my landlord complained about the constant stream of packages being delivered to the apartment. I almost gave up, again. But something inside me had changed. That random lottery ticket had given me the courage to keep fighting. Instead of quitting, I doubled down, found a more reliable supplier, and streamlined my little system. And then something unexpected happened. A viral post online sent hundreds of people to my store overnight. With the new laptop and course, I dove headfirst into learning. Every night after work, I stayed up late, scribbling notes, watching tutorials, and trying to figure out how ordinary people were making money online. The course suggested starting small, find something people need, sell it, and reinvest. Simple in theory, terrifying in practice. One night, while scrolling through online forums, I noticed people complaining about overpriced custom phone cases. It clicked. I could design affordable, funny cases and sell them online. Low cost, low risk, but potentially high demand. I used part of my winnings to order a batch of blank cases and some cheap printing equipment. My tiny apartment turned into a mini workshop, with cases scattered across the floor and my kitchen table buried under designs. At first, I expected nothing. Maybe a few pity sales from friends. But within a week of launching an online shop, I got my first real order, from a complete stranger. That single notification sent chills down my spine. It wasn't just $15. It was proof. Proof that I could build something real. When I realized that ticket was real, I barely slept that night. My hands were shaking as I hid it in an old shoebox under my bed, terrified someone would steal it before I could cash it in. The next morning, I went to the lottery office. The clerk scanned it, gave me a strange look, and then confirmed it was worth $7,500. For most people, that's not life-changing. But for me, drowning in bills, running on fumes, it was like winning a small fortune. I could finally breathe. I paid off some overdue rent, cleared a few debts, and for the first time in years stocked my fridge without stressing over the total. But here's where things got interesting. Instead of blowing the rest, I decided to take a risk. I used the leftover money to buy something I never thought I could afford. A second-hand laptop and a cheap online course about starting small side businesses. That decision, born from a random ticket on the ground, would open doors I never imagined existed. So, what was that moment? I was sitting in the car, debating whether to even go inside the grocery store. I had maybe $20 left in my account, and I needed to stretch it for a week. But as I finally stepped out, I noticed a crumpled piece of paper on the ground near the entrance. Normally, I'd never bother picking up trash, but for some reason I did. It was a lottery ticket. At first I laughed. Someone probably checked it already and tossed it aside. Still, something about it made me slip it into my pocket. I didn't even think about it until later that night when I got home. Out of boredom, I checked the numbers online, just for fun. At first, I thought I read it wrong. Then my heart started racing. 3 numbers matched. Then 4. Then 5. It wasn't the jackpot, but it was worth a few $1,000s. More money than I had seen in months. And that worthless piece of paper was about to trigger a chain of events I could never have prepared for. People love to say, sometimes life can change in a single moment. I always thought that was just a cliché, something people said to make failures sound temporary. But one evening, I learned how true it really was. At the time, I was at rock bottom. My bank account was almost empty, the landlord was threatening eviction, and I was drowning in debt. I worked long hours at a job I hated, barely earning enough to cover food and bills. The idea of success or wealth felt like a cruel joke. That night, I remember sitting in my old, beat-up car in a grocery store parking lot. Rain was hitting the windshield, and I just sat there, staring at the steering wheel, wondering how I was going to make it through another month. I almost gave up on everything right then. And then it happened. Something completely random. Something I almost ignored. But that single, tiny, unexpected moment would set off a chain of events so wild, I still can't believe it actually happened. I didn't know it yet, but my entire life was about to flip upside down, leading me down a path of chaos, unbelievable luck, and eventually, millions.